This is Jordan Edwards, and this is the Business Jiu-Jitsu Podcast.
Good afternoon, Nick Koumalatsos. Nick is a truly admirable guy. So you have such a long roster of things to list. I'll go in the order of importance to me personally.
That would be interesting. Go.
Marine combat veteran with MARSOC, Marine Special Operations Command, Marine Raider. You're an entrepreneur, business person, family man, philanthropist, and a great creative on YouTube, truly putting out some awesome content. The video quality is really high level. Looking forward to exploring that with you and talking about your journey. And then this is certainly not in the order of importance, but I've been digging into your book over here, Excommunicated Warrior, and truly deep stuff. I mean, I read a lot. And this book, I'm only about halfway through, and then I just read the end, Your Keys to Happiness, also because I had to see what's going on in the end. But there's more to unpack than we're going to get to in our short allotted amount of time.
Right.
But your story of leading the Marines and finding meaning and dealing with change and growth and adapting, and then your motto of always moving forward is something that resonates with me deeply. And I'm just really excited to talk to you. So please, if you wouldn't mind, if you could build on my introduction and just tell me a little bit about your journey and anything you think that's important.
So I grew up in, born in Florida, and then I always make the joke that my mom was running away from the law, and we moved literally all of the United States up until teenage years, and then got into which was great because that actually helped me out in the military, getting used to just moving around all the time. Like I'm very flexible when it comes to, grabbing a bag and going. And a lot of that has to do with living that gypsy lifestyle as I was growing up. But yeah, then in my teenage years ended up back in Florida and got in a ton of trouble. I mean, I'm like two felony convictions by the time I was 13 years old. Just absolutely just wrecked my teenage years, which ended up giving me, a lot of problems when I wanted to join the military. But ended up, and I made a video about that, about how I joined the military and went from there. I did in 2000, I joined the Marine Corps and spent 12 years in the Marine Corps. Half of that was with Special Operations. Other good portion of that was with Force Reconnaissance, and ended up deploying all over the world, Southeast Asia, Iraq, Afghanistan, multiple times, and Turkey, and lived a very exciting 12-year career from 2000 to 2012. Yeah. And then after that, kind of where that book kind of picks up is me leaving Special Operations, which I felt like I painted a very good picture of what that's like. And then entering into the private sector. Which, leaving that time in the military, really, really high deployment wartime, regardless of whether we classified as war or whatever it was that we were doing, we were constantly back and forth between Iraq and Afghanistan. And so majority of my career in the military was in a wartime environment. And then leaving that to coming back to America and living that lifestyle, it's quite a transition, going from 300 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour. And so there was some transitional stuff that I wrote about in the book, and that kind of led me to outlining these transitional steps that people go through. And the more I spoke, and the more that I spoke, and the more that I met with more people and things like that, kind of gave me this perception, or gave me the ability to see that it really is not a veteran or military issue. It's a human being things that we all go through in chapters of our life. And anyways, so that kind of led me to business and where I'm kind of at today.
And then ultimately jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I resonated deeply within your book was the subject of change, and the way that you describe change and how dramatic it was on your life, where you have a regimented lifestyle in the military. You compare it to almost as being as regimented as prison. And every single part of your life is dealt with, your food, everything taken care of, where you're going to sleep, where you're going to go, how you're going to get there. And then you come out and it's like, bye. And you building your life up from scratch, and the absolute heartbreak. And I hope you don't mind me saying as part of the book, but like dealing with thoughts of suicide and like coming to the brink and building all the way back from that is something that I think is so beautiful. And my father, we're businessmen. We never, no service under our belt of any kind. But when he was finishing his career and selling his first business, his father's family business that he built up from nothing, he told me the importance of making sure he had something next lined up. And that was one of the themes that you explore of preparation and really thinking about it and helping all these veterans through the work you're doing. So first and foremost, thank you for your service. And I just think it's the essence of what you're doing is so beautiful. And just really, really grateful, like I said, to be able to talk to you. I have a question before we move any forward.
Yeah.
I became like obsessive with these books about the Marines, starting when I first watched the TV show Generation Kill on HBO. I don't know, whatever you think about that show.
So real quick, that show is extremely accurate. A lot of the guys that were in that show were actually, a couple of the guys, two or three of the guys were actually the guys that actually did that in real life. And they brought them on. They brought them on to be on-set advisories to either play a character or play their actual character.
Yeah, Rudy, right?
Rudy was actually, and there's really nobody who can play Rudy other than Rudy in the world. So yeah, there was that show is extremely accurate on a bunch of different levels, and a lot of people liked it or disliked it for those reasons. But yeah,
I think it's one of the best living case studies that you could watch on operating a business or an organization of any kind. The dynamics between the top-down leadership, how they communicate through the ranks, all the way down to the platoon level, executing orders, intent, the things that actually happen versus the way it gets communicated up. I mean, I've never, ever seen it better portrayed than that show. And I constantly try to use it. And it's oftentimes lost on people because it's not a widely viewed show.
Right. And one thing that you have to understand with that particular time in the military is we were coming out of, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, right? Like 10 years prior to, whatever, however many years prior to that. And then we were essentially peacetime throughout the 90s. There was a couple little skirmishes here and there, but then you went into full scale war invasion. So there was a big learning curve with the military of gear, equipment, what kind of fighting we were doing, what the TTPs of the enemy was doing. So there was a lot of learning that was taking place, and a lot of change was happening very drastically. And not all the time can people adapt as fast as the men doing it. So you when you watch that, you're talking about, that's the invasion of Iraq in 2003. So when you're watching that, people they're like, oh, this is just the way it is. No, that was the way it was then, based off of the problem set that they had. And like I said, not everyone adapts as fast as the men on the ground actually in the vehicle doing the mission.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I got to speak to John Donahar about this exact subject, and I read first I read Generation Kill, and then one of the characters, Nate Fick, I think he was a lieutenant in the book. He wrote a book called One Bullet Away, and then shortly after that, General Mattis wrote a book called Call Sign Chaos. And so you're examining the same circumstances from three different perspectives. And I love that. I really, as it relates to business and the lessons that you can learn from the military, I think they're the best lessons, because you guys were dealing with life and death. Here in my world, I'm dealing with fashion and real estate. There's really not much at stake except maybe a dress too tight.
There's still gambling involved, they're just different stakes.
Way different stakes. So although they take it just as seriously, you wouldn't know when there's a problem here, they take it as deadly seriously.
Yes.
But, I'm very interested to know about your specific teams in the Marines. You were in the Marine Special Operations Command.
Yeah, I was. I spent time at Second Force Reconnaissance Company, and then I went out to Third Recon Battalion and was in 3 different platoons out there. One of which was we went to Iraq in 06 and 07, and then came back and was a platoon sergeant for a MU platoon and got them trained up and worked, and then at 2007 I moved over to Special Operations, which was Second Force. So the way that it worked was we were Second Force Reconnaissance Company, and in 2006 they rolled up the Second Force flag and then unveiled the Second Marine Special Operations Battalion. And so we kind of changed over from what it was to Marine Special Operations Command, which falls under SOCOM. And so that was the initial basis of Marines finally joining Special Operations, and I spent the rest of my career there until 2012.
The team that you were on, these are special operators. There's a level of creativity and problem solving that I think translates really well to business. Being since Marine in the front, you're operating in a way that I think lends itself really well to starting up businesses and running organizations and being super entrepreneurial. You had all that experience, but when you left, it wasn't immediately clear. You knew you could do it, but it took quite some time. Can you maybe talk about that?
I knew that I had the gas to do it, and I had the drive to do it, but I didn't fully understand. I didn't fully understand the how. And special operations is great, and here's the reasons why what transpires is problem solving. Problem solving is probably the biggest takeaway from being in that community and going into the entrepreneurial world. And I wish I could get more people to understand this, right? It's like all you're doing is solving problems. That's business in a nutshell. Is you're just solving one problem after the other. And the other big takeaway, which I wrote in the book, is really operational planning. I had to take it from, okay, I'm planning a mission. I have a desired end state. What are my phase lines that I need to create to work backwards to where I'm standing right now, which maybe is just a whiteboard and an idea, but my end state is X, launching a product on Amazon, making $1 million, whatever it is. And then you need to create your phase lines. And once I realized that all it was, any business is nothing more than just a mission. It's an operational plan that I need to put phase lines in approach. Everything kind of clicked. And that's when things kind of started to roll. Now, doesn't mean that I didn't make a ton of mistakes and didn't have a ton of failure, but I had a process in which to drive.
Yeah. Your, I guess, catchphrase is the best way to put it, is I moving forward.
Always forward.
I mean, that's it.
You can't overcomplicate that. You can't, what happens if you, and I get Instagram messages all the time of, hey, this happened or this happened. And I'm like, okay. They're like, what do I do? Just keep going.
Yeah.
Do it again. Try again. Keep going forward.
Why is it that these simple things are so difficult for some people to understand? If you're moving forward, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, sometimes you're plateauing.
Yeah.
Why people are stuck? Is it so hard to get that moving forward mentality? And listen, you threw it on a t-shirt, but it is so perfect to tell people, just keep going, man. You got this.
I think that it's, I think people a lot of times can get defeated, right? And we've all been there. I've been defeated. I've lost. I've spent money where anybody that's in business has wasted money, right? I've spent money in different things. I've had things fail. I've had things flop. I've had people come after me. And there are plenty of reasons why, I have the talents. I'm like, well, I would just, I could just go get a 6-figure job based off, I had one. I was contracting, making X amount of dollars. Why don't I just go do that and not have the headache of all of this and just kind of throw in the towel and go over here. I think we all get defeated. We all get unmotivated to where, you know, sometimes we just need that person, maybe a mentor, maybe a friend, to say, yeah, preferably a mentor. Like if you're in business and you don't have a business coach, or if you're doing something and you don't have a coach in that thing, we can talk about this later, but that's probably one thing that you need to go find. But someone, even if it's somebody on Instagram to follow that you check in with every day, and you just watch their video and go, okay, take a big breath. I fucked up. Let's move forward. And the difference between people who are successful and the people who are unsuccessful, the only difference is they just kept going. That's right. It. They just kept going.
It's true. And improving, I would add.
Yeah.
Trying.
Right.
What I love about Jiu-Jitsu is it gave me a technical framework for improvement. Not just showing up every day. Show up, learn a technique, practice technique, go live, try to do the technique, repeat. You know, and when I brought that,
try to do the technique,
try to do
multiple times.
Live,
yeah.
Then the years go by and you just keep doing it and keep doing it, and you just keep sharpening the sword and just keep moving. And every day you just got to show up. And when this whole project came together, because year after year, the guys in my gym would come to me. They knew I was an entrepreneur. They knew I had many businesses, and they'd say, I want to start a t-shirt business. I want to open a gym. I want to do this. And I said, do it.
That's exactly what
they're like,
do it.
Yeah, that's it. They're like, well, I don't have funding. I'm talking to an investor. I'm doing this. And I did that when I was in college. I went to college. I wanted to start a t-shirt business. I got to get a bank account. I got to write a business plan. I had to do all these things. There was no business. One day my dad turns to me and he goes, what's up with your t-shirt business? I said, I'm still trying to talk to the banker about a line of credit. He goes, listen, t-shirt business is easy. Make the t-shirt, sell the t-shirt. Everything else will come. And so, you know, that's 15 years ago almost. And I get to tell that story over and over again of just do it, man. Like, you're going to surprise yourself at how good you get if you give yourself credit. You know, some people, they never give them credit.
When my screensaver on the computer comes on, it says this: it's all in the execution.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
If you got to do something that you have to execute. That, you know, and one of the great stories that I love about tech or products in general is, and this kind of goes with any product, is the like for instance the iPhone, the very first iPhone. I think it was just iPhone, right? Like iPhone.
I think iPhone 1.
Yeah, whatever. And was it perfect? No, it sucked, and there was tons of problems with it. Guess what they did? They made bazillions of dollars. And then they improved it.
That's true.
Could they have sat there and go, it's not ready, let's make it better so we don't have any complaints? No, they launched the damn thing, made a ton of money, and then improved it. You know, so I talk to my people sometimes too. I'm like, is it perfect? No. Can we fix it, make it better? Sure. We need to launch it.
Yeah,
we need to launch it, and we need to sell, like you said, we need to sell the t-shirt.
That's right. Sell
the t-shirt, and then make a better t-shirt. And then eventually you're doing your own cut and sew, you're doing your own designs, you're picking your own fabrics, you know, but to get off the ground, you go buy a blank, you print the t-shirt, you sell the t-shirt.
That's right.
That's it.
It's true. Speed and momentum are really powerful allies when you are trying to do business. When I get started and go fast.
I get the same questions all the time. Hey, I got a business idea. I got to do this. I'm like, just do it. Yeah. And then I say this: you need to execute your idea. Okay. You need to execute your idea, knowing you're probably going to fail. Yeah. But that failure is going to lead you to the next idea or the next business that you're going to be successful in. But you'll never be successful unless if I told you right now, for you to be successful, you're going to have 15 failures. Yeah. And the faster you can get those 15 failures, the faster you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
So you can either start failing now, or you can just draw this process out for as long as you want.
Fail fast and keep moving.
Yep.
It's a really beautiful lesson, and one that I love about jiu-jitsu. It's like trying to learn jiu-jitsu and thinking you're never going to tap. It's like, you're going to come in and I'm never going to tap. So, and there are guys who just don't want to tap, and they somehow, stick around at a very low level for a very long time because they get positionally sound. They're super strong. They're very compact, and they could be a 5-year blue belt, 6 years.
I was very fortunate to, I say that, of course, now I feel like I'm always behind at everything. I feel like I'm behind at business, I'm behind in jiu-jitsu, I'm behind at everything. But that's my own mentality of trying to go forward, as fast as possible. But I was fortunate in a way that I started my jiu-jitsu journey very late in life, to where I didn't have that mentality. And I took it more of a strategic approach, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Like I'm not like tapping. Like I got one of my best videos on YouTube is me getting submitted by a 15-year-old girl.
I saw that.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
And I told the team, I was like, we're labeling this Marine Raider gets submitted by a 15-year-old girl, because that's what people are going.
Before we put this podcast together and I became aware of you and I came into your orbit on social media, I had watched that video. I had watched a bunch of your videos, actually, Marine Raider versus SEAL. Like, I had seen a lot of your videos, and then you came into my orbit through the most recent Gordon fight. And it's just so interesting, like how the worlds collide like that. But yeah, that video is great. Also, I think like when you came into jiu-jitsu, there's so much out there. There's so much content, so many people on YouTube talking about it, masters, John Donahar and Gordon and George St. Pierre and Joe Rogan and all these guys giving us so much information on how to get good at it. When I started doing jiu-jitsu in 2009, YouTube was forbidden. You could not go on YouTube. If you brought a YouTube technique in, it was like, don't show me that guy, some random dude in, St. Louis. It's like, we're learning the Renzo Gracie, the real stuff from this guy, this whiz, John Donahar.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a different world now. I actually didn't, interesting. I didn't watch, because of that, I didn't watch any videos for probably over a year.
Wow.
None.
Wow. What brought you to jiu-jitsu?
So honestly, I had a teammate who was, I don't know, he's a freak of nature. He went in and won, he won nationals in 2007. And I think he was maybe a year or two in and just became a prodigy. And he was a teammate, and I used to roll with him, and I probably had 40 pounds on him, and it would have blown my mind that I literally could not do anything. I was basically either getting choked out or on my hands and knees with him smothering me. And I never really understood why it was so freaking difficult to manipulate this guy who's 40 pounds lighter than me, and his control. So, life, he left the service. I stayed in, life gets, that kind of job, with a family, it was all encompassing, and it just wasn't a priority at the time. And I didn't really know much about it. And, but that's what stuck with me. And then later in life and business, there was, and I've made a video about this. I just got to where my brother-in-law does it. He had been trying to get me on it for years. But I got to a place in my career where I wasn't uncomfortable anymore. And I needed something to make me uncomfortable. I strive in a world. So I always create these challenges, right? Whether it's these marches or something, or cutting weight, or I always do something to make myself miserable. I find comfort in misery. And hence the reason why you probably found me was one of the reasons was the 60 sessions and 30-day challenge. Yeah. So training enough wasn't enough for me. I wanted to be more miserable. And so I saw a challenge and created my own out of that.
Yeah. Do you mind if I pull that up while you're talking about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's a great challenge. You have Greek heritage, if I'm not mistaken.
I do.
That's from both your name, and also I've seen you talk about it. And you have something called the Gogi coaching program. And if you have a 30-day challenge,
Yeah, so we're in a 30-day challenge right now, and the Gogi coaching program it's set on some foundations of coaching, and basically it's for men, predominantly men. We have some really alpha females in there that are crushing it, but really it's about how do you become the very best version of yourself. And so many times in life we sacrifice ourselves. We're working hard. We're taking care of our families. We're taking care of our kids. But we put ourselves on the back burner. And you know what kills men? What the number one killer of men are?
Heart disease.
Heart disease and obesity.
Yep.
So how are we going to be the servant to our family? How are we going to be the protectors, the providers, the leaders, the teachers? And what we like to say, the father figures, not the dad bods, the father figures for our family when we put ourselves last. So this program is to get men that have kind of fallen off the wagon of themselves and to make them their warrior self again through fitness and exercise and a few other, things like self-belief, things like discipline, and then reminding them the why behind it all. And so that's been a very, we've done very well with that. And we have an amazing group of people that are part of that tribe. And that's been a very interesting business that we launched actually right around when COVID happened, which you see now the results from, the 2020 lockdown. There's like a weight gain with 29 pounds of weight gain. 41% of that is millennials.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was me,
And there's no excuse for it. There's absolutely no excuse for it. And I'm sure you know that as well. There's absolutely no excuse for it. We allowed other people to tell us that was an excuse. And anyway, so we're, actively trying to combat that with health and fitness and exercise. So that's that program is. But jiu-jitsu, so my friend started, I got worked in business a lot. And then I told my wife that, it was time I came off, I'm on HRT and have been since I left the service through multiple traumatic brain injuries and this and that. And if you're over 30, you need to get your blood tested, period. But I came off so that we could do IVF and have a kid because I had a vasectomy back in 2007. And I said, after this, I made the decision after this, once I get back on and I'm healthy and I can recover and things like that, I'm going to start. And man, the very first, I was 38 at the time, and I'm literally, and I said this in the video, in one of the videos, a very good video that we made. I'm 38 years old. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning to go to this place that I know no one. Now in my world, I'm the king of my world, right? I have a very small circle. I do business. I got employees. I got staff. I'm not really being pushed outside of my comfort zone to be, you know what I mean? To be honest, I'm the CEO of my company. I make videos on YouTube. I do some things in marketing. You know what I mean? I sell some things. It's not that dangerous or, it doesn't push me. Not like it used to when I first started.
Right.
So here I am, 5:30 in the morning, walking into a place at 38 years old where I know no one, not one friend. I don't know anybody there. To essentially get your ass kicked as a grown man. Like you walk in knowing these men are going to kick my ass for an hour and a half. And then I'm going to show up again and do it the next day. And this is now just going to become a thing that I do. Get up early to go get my ass kicked. And, and man, I tell you what, they did not hold back. There was a couple of them. I love them all, but I was like fresh meat, man. And it was almost like, let's see how hard we can put it on him and either get him to quit and not show up and now it wasn't the instructors. It was definitely some of the guys in there, some of the, maybe the senior blue belts that were in there, just like, oh, let's smash this guy. And I was strong. And, but you know how it is. It does not matter.
No, it's, I'm so happy you brought that up. And you got those butterflies, you got that, you put yourself
first time in a long time. Yeah. like that nervous feeling, those butterflies, like, oh man, I'm sitting in the car and I'll remember I'm sitting in the truck going, shit, am I doing this? All right, let's go get my ass kicked. All right.
I try to squeeze that emotion out of some other people on this podcast and ask them about that fear of walking in. And I haven't really gotten anybody else to relate to me on that. And one of the things that I love to do over the course of doing business, I'm also in the commercial real estate business. I have properties in 10 states. And when I fly to Texas, when I fly to Kansas, Massachusetts, Florida, I go and I train. Yeah. Actually, I go and I train at a place that I think we share in common, Manny Suarez, Carlson Gracie team down there.
Yeah.
So my parents live not far from there in Boca Raton, and that's one of the gyms I always go to. And man, even if I've been to a gym and I'm going to a new gym with new people and new guys, I just get those butterflies and walk in and I'm like, who knows what I'm going to get? I might get like a spazzy young guy or, gigantic. So this fear that you're discussing is so vital to be able to put yourself in those situations, because that's what we were talking about of just starting. If you're that's the you have to overcome. It's such a beautiful thing to put yourself in those situations and like to put yourself in those situations. So I'm really grateful you brought that up. Thank you.
Well, what is that? But what does that accomplish, right? People are like, okay, you have this fear, but what's the point of that? But the point of that is growth.
That's right.
That sweet spot of always kind of just pushing that envelope a little bit to where you have that little bit of fear, you have those butterflies. That means you're outside of your comfort zone. That means you are pushing the envelope to growth. And every single time that you push that means that you're growing just a little bit more.
Absolutely. There's a really great YouTube video. It was like this Rabbi Torsky, I think was his name. And he talks about an anorexic hermit crab. Have you ever come across this video?
No, I got to find it now.
Basically, like, if a crab, they only rent the shell. They don't own the shell. They have to leave the shell to go find a bigger one when they grow. And if you never leave the shell, they stop growing. Mm-hmm. And so they become vulnerable when they take the leap out of the shell. And they have to go find a bigger shell. And that moment of growth is so key to becoming good at anything. Getting good at Jiu-Jitsu, getting good at business, and starting new businesses. It's a beautiful thing. So let me open up your website here for a second again, because I would love to talk to you about some of your businesses, of which there are many. Where did it start? Was it the coaching? Was it the gym? Was it you have a brand, Johnny Slicks? What was your main business?
It started. Oh man, if you go to, is it About? I don't even think it's on there anymore.
About businesses.
Yeah, man. It started with survival and tactical systems.
Okay.
When I got out, I thought that, like anything you do, you're a special operator. What you can do is shoot guns and train people. So I started my first business, survival and tactical systems, to train people on the range, tactics, security, things like that. And man, I call that my very first failure. Now, did I make money? Was it successful in different ways? Sure. But I eventually shut it down. And it was not even so much that there was something wrong with it as it was not even, it wasn't where I wanted to be.
Right.
But here's the thing with that business. And I consider it a failure because we had benchmarks. We had things that we wanted to do. We wanted to open a training compound and, do all these different things, and never made it happen. I tried, flew all over the world, talked to everybody, tried to get money from investors, just failed. And, but this is the big lesson in that. I would not be standing here talking to you. I would not have Johnny Slicks. I would not be on YouTube. I would not have my training business or my coaching business if I did not start that business and fail at it, and fail multiple times.
The way it always is. Before I had my business, I had a big failure. It led right into it. It was a one-day pivot. I was working on one thing. It was going down, but it laid all the foundation and framework for my next thing.
Exactly. Same thing with Johnny Slick. So everything that I did led to media and YouTube, which led me to Johnny Slicks. And that became that business right there became a 7-figure company in under 3 years.
Wow. Fantastic.
And I never would have, this would not be in existence. This would not be in existence if I, this would not be in existence if I would never have started my first business and complete and utter failure, like complete and utter embarrassment failure, which I love talking about now, because that's the Yellow Brick Road. That was the Yellow Brick Road that led us to what we're doing today, which is just absolutely amazing.
Virtually all of the feedback I've gotten on this project, 98% or more, thousands, maybe tens of thousands at this point, of comments and messages, has all been so positive. And the critics and people who hate on it, I think you can never avoid them if you take a step out into the public light, which was my big fear in this, was that your project is pretentious. You talk about money, you talk. The beautiful thing about these long form conversations is that you get to listen to people who are sharing how they got to where they got. And the most beautiful part is people who are willing to share the fact that they failed, willing to share the fact that they have serious mental problems in the past, have contemplated suicide, that they've had businesses that have failed. If you looked at my life from the outside looking in, all you would see are my large businesses, maybe my house, my car, smiling. I'm not a big social media person, so I'm not putting it out there, but that's all you would see. You wouldn't see the absolute struggle and heartbreak and the days during COVID when I thought I was losing everything, when I've had
anxiety and depression. And
it's crazy. And so I think that it's such a blessing to have these conversations in public. And that's the beautiful part of social media and the beautiful part of YouTube and Instagram. And I just love what you're putting out there. So that kind of brings me to my next question for you. Your production company is called Robin Hood Pictures.
Correct. That's kind of what we do, so that we have that formed, so that anything. So what we do at Alexander Industries in that is because we had at one time we had more businesses than we did, and that formation, that umbrella, is what did all the marketing and commercials and everything for all the different aspects of whatever it was the gym, when they had the gym. I don't know if you saw that, but we had a whole gym debacle during COVID.
I did see that. I relate to you on that deeply, and we'll go back to that in a second.
Yeah. So we were doing that. We have, shipping, we had a coffee company. There was a bunch of stuff. So that really was and then some of the adventure stuff that we've done in the past. That was kind of what housed that. And as we grow, we want to really grow that thing as well, instead of outsourcing our media, because my wife has a film degree, because now my degrees are in that as well. And my master's is in business entertainment. It really is like, if you want to drive a business and get somewhere, it's marketing.
Yeah.
Like, you have to market your business. And you have to be able to tell that the why behind the business and that story to get people to connect with it. And once I learned that, I really wanted to triple down in that. And so that's the reason why we have all the heavy media component to everything that we do.
It's a phenomenal case study. You do it so well. I'm not kissing your ass. It's unbelievable. You really have a 360 integrated with your businesses, your persona, the marketing, the social. Anybody who wants to start can go take a look at what you're putting out there as a guide to help them do it.
The biggest thing that you can do with people is just be real. Show them the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times, and especially in these days with social media, you see all these people with Lamborghinis and this and private flights and all this, and who knows if it's real? A lot of it's not. But it sets this expectation of what you think things are, and they're really not. They're really not. It's a lot of work and a lot of struggle and long nights, and trying to balance your family and try to balance everything that's going on in your life with just growth. And I think what people crave is authenticity. I think what people crave is the real story. How is it really done? What's the real struggles behind it? And I think if you can impart that on people, you're going to have a bigger change with them, because now they can relate because they're feeling the same thing. And they know, oh, wait, I feel that and he's feeling that. And this is the way we get it done. Now you've made a connection.
It's amazing how new this is. And even as late as just a few years ago, I think like in the age of the early days of Instagram, with creating a persona and creating the illusion, the authenticity really wasn't there. Now with the growth of YouTube and podcasting, I think the real authentic self is coming out in people, and they're seeing the true story of growth and hard work. And like someone like yourself, maybe you never would have had a platform when you were coming out of the special operations community to be able to share the way that you have and touch a lot of lives and create, different products and launch. I'm really grateful for it. And I fought it tooth and nail for so long. I very famously quit Instagram in 2013 and said, I'm off social media. And then exactly what you just said is the reason why I came back, because marketing is the next phase of our economy. There's just like if you're participating in what we're doing right now, you're participating in the next phase of our economy, which is going to be based on decentralized finance, going to be based on marketing, going to be based on large communities and local communities. One of the things that I like what you do is you have this Gogi program digitally, and then you also had, and I hope it's back open, your gym. Is it?
I shut it down.
You shut it down. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you never know.
But that was also a business decision. That was not because I'm afraid of the man, because I'm not.
Yeah.
But no, one of my business mentors said, listen, it's a bandwidth issue. You've got these two things that are doing very, very well. You need to focus on these two things.
Yeah.
Stop fighting this. That's marginally making money.
Yeah.
And focus on the things that are really making money. This is and it comes down to bandwidth, because at the end of the day, I am a father and a husband, and there are things that I need to do outside of work.
Yeah.
And that's what it came down to. And so we kept it as a training facility for our staff, for our private members, but essentially it's not a business anymore. It's our training facility. And pre-COVID, this discussion wouldn't even happen, because it was making its own money. I didn't really have to do much with it. It was part of the community. But
for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Nick has a very popular, highly watched YouTube video of when the police came to shut down his gym. And I lived that exact same situation with one of my stores on Memorial Day weekend out in West Hampton Beach on Long Island. And I had a police officer look me in the face and say, I'm going to arrest you, and you are the reason why we're going to have an outbreak. And I said, I'm only trying to keep my business open and follow the rules. I'm trying to follow. You said the same words that came out of your mouth came out of my mouth. I'm trying to follow the rules that the CDC put forward for us. That's it. I'm not trying to break anything. I'm not trying to do anything sneaky. I've been a law-abiding citizen. So it was.
You still were. You weren't breaking any laws. There was a mandate. It's not a law. It wasn't voted on.
Yeah.
You weren't breaking any laws, and there's not, as far as I know, there's not one case that's gone to court that's been able to stand.
Yeah.
Because what statute they're gonna charge you with?
Yeah.
There's no law being broken. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to dig too much into that. I'm really happy to hear you're doing well, and your hair is short. I was watching recent videos, and you got the flow.
So after that thing with the incident with law enforcement, and then media and things, and I just wanted to live my life, and then all of that happened. So I was like, okay, well, a little bit more public eye in the way that I wanted to, and I just wanted to run my businesses, play with my family, and make some money. And but you know what? Now I've kind of dug it. Plus, now as much as I'm rolling, the long hair just doesn't work.
How's that? Yeah.
But yeah, so that was it.
Nick, thank you so much for being a part of this project. And I got a lot of great stuff from you today. I hope I can call on you if I have to ever clarify some of this for the book. But I think it's probably going to take me a good year and a half to write this. My first book took 2 years. And right after the baby comes, I'm having a baby in any minute. Probably.
Any minute now.
Any minute.
It's amazing that you made it this far in the podcast.
It's true. It's true. I any second I could get a phone call, and I'm rushing. I'm going to begin writing this book in June, and I'm really, really excited to have you as a contributor.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to actually linking up and getting some roles in with you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nick.